Welcome to another one of my videos. Here I am in Warsaw, Poland, and you join me right on the edge of the Old Town, or effectively what could be classed as the New Town, thanks to the atrocities that were committed during the Second World War. And this statue pays tribute to those heroes, the fallen, the brave, the manipulated, the indoctrinated, those that were taken advantage by the banksters and industrialists that wanted European brothers to go to war with European brothers. We are going to go check out the Old Town. The Old Town was effectively completely destroyed during the Warsaw Uprising by the Germans. The Polish people took it upon themselves. They wanted to rid Poland of the Germans. Sadly, the uprising failed. And due to that, Warsaw was severely punished. It was decided upon by the Nazis to completely destroy Warsaw. Over 90% of the city was destroyed, which basically meant the city suddenly became a fragment of its former self. Then, as Poland passed into Soviet hands, slowly rebuilt. First time I ever had a business trip overseas was in 2003.
You are old.
And I got the privilege of coming to Warsaw. When I came to Warsaw, the Old Town over here was just bricks lying on the floor. Bricks stacked up, and I said to the banker I was meeting at the time, I said, "What is going on?" And he goes, "Oh, we're rebuilding the Old Town." I go, "That's a bit strange, isn't it?" He goes, No, we're going to rebuild it exactly how it was." Now, as a cynical 22, 23-year-old, I had my doubts, but since then I've been totally gobsmacked by the changes and what's happened. It just shows the Polish ingenuity, and I want to show you the Old Town of Warsaw today, so join me.
When I first saw the Old Town undergoing renovation back then, I was truly amazed by the amount of work being done. The facades were being meticulously restored, and there was a buzz of activity aimed at preserving the beauty and history of this iconic area. I remember thinking to myself at the time that this must have been when the major work began. I was very wrong though, because reality is work began on the Old Town from the early 1950s, something I will explain in more detail as this video goes on. But the renovations I saw in the early 2000s was actually part of a long continuum of preservation and enhancement efforts. They were meticulously putting down cobbled stones, and at the time it was a real mess, but that was what surprised me when I came back. It has changed dramatically, and this video is an appreciation at Poles' hard work and the fact that they do things that I wish Western nations would do.
So effectively everything you can see from now on.
One of the biggest reasons I make videos, it allows me to learn post-visit. I often realize how wrong I was when I'm editing videos, and then sometimes I make mistakes in videos and my beautiful audience sometimes corrects me. For me, I'm forever learning. And I just want to state for the record, the building process started from 1950 onwards.
It's incredible. They basically got the plans from how it used to be, and they then built everything. It's fantastic in what they've done. But what we're going to go see is we're going to see ingenuity is possible when people put their heads together and they say, look, we don't have to have the brutalism of the Soviet past, we don't have to have the brutalism of communism, we don't have to have just shocking, depressing buildings, we can have things beautiful. And that's exactly what the Poles have decided.
Think classy, you'll be classy.
You know what I bet? I bet historians will potentially look back upon this era, 2020s, and they will say, it hasn't changed. We're now in 2130, we're in 2150, and it still pretty much looks the same because they built things right back then. So we're going to go just observe and see what we see.
As we leave Castle Square, you may have noticed the majestic column that we recently passed. This is Sigismund's column. It's been standing tall since 1644, so it's seen more drama than a Shakespearean play. Just behind us, although I didn't mention at the time, was the Royal Castle. It was rebuilt brick by brick after the Second World War. Quite the comeback story, wouldn't you say? But enough about the past. Let's wander down Piwna Street, where the real magic happens. Piwna Street literally means beer street, but sadly it is not lined with pub after pub after pub, despite the name meaning beer street. False advertising, some might say. But don't worry, there are one or two exceptional places to have yourself a perfect pint, and we will be going to some of those later. Along this street you'll find charming townhouses that look like they've been plucked straight from a fairy tale. Keep your eyes peeled for some hidden gems, and by gems I mean cozy cafes and quirky shops that will want you to empty your wallets. What I love about these streets are these beautiful cobblestones. These are the cobblestones I saw being put in place back in the early noughties. They're not digging up like they do in London to install broadband here. When they need to dig, they put the stones back into the place they belong. On sunnier days, you'll usually see street performers on this street, always entertaining no matter the time of day. Up ahead of us, this is St. Martin's Church. This Gothic wonder looks like it's been here forever because, well, it has. Imagine all the whispers and secrets that these walls have heard. This Gothic wonder dates back to the 14th century, and it is a remarkable example of medieval architecture. Originally constructed by the Augustinian monks, the church has witnessed some numerous historical events, such as the Swedish Deluge and the Kolshlako uprising. During the Second World War, the church was almost entirely destroyed, but it was meticulously rebuilt in the years following the war, symbolizing the resilience of the citizens of Warsaw. If the service wasn't going on, we would have found beautiful Baroque altars and a striking pulpit, alongside several historical artifacts and artworks that have survived the turmoil. One of the church's most intriguing features is the underground crypt, where you can find remains of several prominent figures from Polish history. What I also like about this church, it played a significant role in the anti-communist resistance, as it served as a meeting place for the opposition groups during the 1980s. Anything that's anti-communist is good in my books.
Sadly, this beautiful church is closed. The organist was having a private sort of session in there, but now we won't be able to take it all in, but maybe another day.
We continue to walk down Piwna Street, and I have to say I can't help but be captivated by the colourful facades that are about to approach us as we continue walking this elegant and quaint little street. I'm going to continue in a northwesterly direction till I get to the end of the old town, and then I'll turn back on myself. Very brief walk around the old town, but I'm really glad that you'll hear it along for the ride. Just remember, if you're liking this content, click that like button. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, what's wrong with you? Click the subscribe button. I've got almost 500 videos that could be yours to watch should you click the subscribe button, and after all, it is free. Do subscribe because it really helps this channel grow. It allows this channel to be shown to a wider audience, and it also encourages me to keep doing the work like this. And if you're feeling extra generous, you could join my postcard club. Those in the postcard club get a postcard every month from myself from a random destination. Sometimes the postcards take forever to get to you, sometimes they could be with you within days. Who really knows with the global postal service, but it really helps support this channel, and it encourages me to put pen to postcard and support the local economy.
I'm a big fan of Polish food. I'm just wondering, what would you choose on that menu? It's fantastic food. It looks beautiful inside. We've got candlelight over there. Really, really beautiful. Old school restaurant. Try not to trip over the pavement. Look at this. The main square is over in that direction. We're going to head this direction, loop around. It's like a figure of eight. There's two main streets in the old town, and we're going to try and take them all in.
You might be thinking it's Christmas because of the various Christmas decorations you can still see hanging up, but the reality is this was filmed back in February of 2024. Now, I appreciate it's not February now, although maybe when you're eventually watching this video it could be February. I personally don't use a video editor who's based in the Philippines or anything. I do all the editing myself, so I do a lot of traveling, and I tend to travel, then I tend to sit down and then edit after a long period of time. I have all these memory cards that are in the process of needing editing, but I get to them eventually. Unless it's a newsworthy event, I tend to take my time and slowly get round to the edits, hence what you see. As we continue down this street, you'll notice all of the various different cozy cafes, exceptional restaurants. Warsaw is fast becoming a destination for foodies, and I have to admit, it's one of my most favourite things to do when I'm exploring Warsaw. From the peripherals of Warsaw to the Old Town, there are good restaurants to be found everywhere. Remember, Yelp tends to be used by Americans only, TripAdvisor and Google Maps tends to be used by Europeans. Your best bet to try to find insight into what is good and what is not is probably Google Maps and TripAdvisor. Of course, there are some new upstarts around. If you have any recommendations on best review sites at the moment in Poland, I'm all ears. I tend to stick to the Google Maps and the TripAdvisors. There's some really exceptional Georgian restaurants in Warsaw, and this street has one. Great Italian restaurants, but obviously you're in Poland, so please try Polish cuisine. Must-do cuisine, in my opinion, is pierogi, similar to what you would have seen me eating when I was on my Ukrainian adventures when they were eating baraneki. They are simply delightful dumplings filled with various ingredients, from meat to cabbage to even sweet, like things like cherries. Zurich is worth trying. Sour rye soup, that's very, very delicious, especially when the weather's cold. And then if you've got a sweet tooth, you could try sernik, traditional Polish cheesecake. But there really is far more food than I'm really dipping my toes into here. Poland is fantastic. Not only is it fantastic for its people, it is fantastic for its food, its wine, its beer.
As you can see, Warsaw is a very popular tourist attraction these days, and why not? When you get these beautiful buildings, he's doing a better job of explaining all of this than myself, but hopefully it gives you the inspiration to potentially visit the old town and visit Warsaw itself. Warsaw is an immense city. It's not just this little old town, but the reason for just checking out the little old town is why not?
If I didn't have ties to the UK right now, I would live in Poland without hesitation. It's a fantastic country. As we round this corner, just a short distance from the Barbican, let's take a moment to appreciate these formidable city walls that once surrounded Warsaw's old town. These ancient fortifications are not just stone barriers, they are silent witnesses to the city's tumultuous and resilient past. The origins of Warsaw's fortifications date back to the 13th century, when the city was granted municipal rights by the Duke Boleslaw II of Masovia. Initially, the defences were wooden, but as Warsaw grew, its prominence and wealth, the need for a stronger protection became evident. By the 14th century, under the reign of Duke Janusz I of Warsaw, the wooden palisades were replaced with robust brick walls. These walls stood up to 9 metres high and 1.2 metres in thickness, interspersed with defensive towers and gates to control access into the city. The architectural significance of these walls lies in their medieval military design, which evolved over the centuries to adapt to new warfare techniques. Originally, these walls were constructed to defend against medieval siege tactics, but by the 16th and 17th centuries, they had been reinforced to withstand gunpowder artillery. Bastions were added to absorb and deflect cannon fire, while the gates were fortified with additional guardhouses and drawbridges.
To give you an indication of what time of year it is, the tulip season. We're definitely not in Christmas. The decorations would let you believe that it's Christmas, but it's actually February. Gives you an idea of the time frame. But enough of me, let's have a look at this art. Look at this.
Now, as we continue our walk towards the Barbican, you can see how it connects the inner and outer city walls. Constructed in 1540, the Barbican was designed by the Venetian architect Giovanni Battista. It is a prime example of Renaissance military architecture, incorporating advanced defensive features typical of Italian fortifications of the time. The semicircular outpost played a crucial role in Warsaw's defense, bridging the gap between city walls and serving as a checkpoint. Warsaw's city walls have seen numerous conflicts, each leaving its mark. During the Swedish deluge in the 17th century, they suffered significant damage but were quickly repaired. However, the most devastating period came during the Second World War, particularly during the Warsaw Uprising in 1944. The walls, like much of Warsaw, were heavily damaged. Post-war reconstruction efforts used historical documents, photographs, and paintings, particularly those by Bernardo Bellato, to meticulously rebuild these walls, preserving their historical integrity. Today, the restored city walls and the Barbican are more than just historical artifacts, they are an integral part of Warsaw's urban landscape. They stand as symbols of the city's resilience and its capacity to rebuild and preserve its heritage.
So here we have the old gates to the city. This would allow entrance and exit to the people. Pay your fee to come in, or just make sure that you're the right kind of person. They're not going to let the sort of hordes of barbarians into the city. I love how this has been faithfully restored, and it really has been faithfully restored. It looks truly uniquely beautiful. The pigeons love it. You notice the pigeons at the top there. They love it.
The robins are singing, the pigeons are cooing.
As we exit the sort of the edge of the city, we're going to just take in a couple more blocks and then wind our way back so we can get to the The old town city square.
As we leave the impressive Barbican behind us, we step onto Nowomiejska Street, or Newtown Street. Despite its name, it's steeped in history, and as we walk along we notice the charming facades of the buildings lining the street. These structures, like many of Warsaw's Old Town, have meticulously been restored to reflect pre-war splendour. On our right you'll see various shops and cafes, perfect spots to experience a slice of local life. The vibrancy here is palpable, with a blend of tourists and locals enjoying the street's offerings. Many of these buildings house galleries and boutiques, offering a glimpse into Warsaw's thriving art and craft scene. If you're looking to rent around the Old Town, a one-bedroom apartment in 2024 is probably going to set you back about $1,200 a month. The Old Town is not the cheapest place to rent in Warsaw. You need to head more to the outskirts if you want cheaper accommodation. Continuing up the street, we come to St. Hyacinth's Church, a striking example of Baroque architecture. Built in the early 17th century, this church has a rich history, having been used as a hospital during the Warsaw Uprising. The church's serene interior provides a stark contrast to sometimes the bustling street outside, offering a moment of reflection and tranquility. Now let's turn on to Piwna Street, one of the main thoroughfares of the new town. The street is named after the Latin word fretta, meaning strait or channel, reflecting its historical importance as a trade route. As we walk, you'll notice a mix of architectural styles from Baroque to neoclassical, each building telling a story of the city's evolving identity. Piwna Street is home to several noteworthy landmarks. One of the most prominent is the Church of the Holy Spirit.
I haven't been in Warsaw for over a year and a few months. Well, actually a year and a half, I'd say. Last time I was here was late summer of 2022? Yeah, late summer 22. And my memories of the Old Town are trying to find some good craft beer, staggering around trying to find some good craft beer with people I'd met after a week spent in the Polish countryside of places. What's this?
Shop.
You're going to go there?
Yeah.
We're going to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to come back and then I won't be. It's like we're almost at the end of the Old Town. Oh, that looks good. You want some pierogi? We'll go to the end of that, just basically where the lights are, and then come back. I think it's too windy. Ah, yeah, here's the beer place. You want a really good Belgian beer. And some craft beer, but mostly Belgian beer. This place is fantastic. This is towards the north side of the Old Town. Really fantastic beer. There's another place further down to the Old Town I will point out, which does exceptional craft beer. But that place is a good stop off if you like your beer.
Really starting to get hungry because I can smell pierogi in the air, and when I'm hungry that's all I can start thinking about. But my mission was to kind of walk you to one side of the Old Town and then also back again. Right now we're walking towards the Market Square. We're still on Piwna Street. Many of these buildings date back to the 18th century. One of the notable stops along Piwna Street that you have to find on the map is the Mary Skłodowska Curie Museum. It was housed as the birthplace of the renowned scientist Mary Curie. You may have heard of her. This museum is dedicated to her life and the groundbreaking work in physics and chemistry, offering fascinating glimpse into her contributions to science and humanity. As we continue our walk, we approach the new town Market Square. This square was originally laid out in the late 14th century. It served as a focal point for the new town, although much of it was destroyed during the Second World War, but it thankfully, like all of this, has been faithfully restored. The central part of the square is the home of the Church of St. Kazimierz, a stunning Baroque structure rebuilt after the war, which now stands firm, showing the city's true resilience to tyranny.
This beautiful square is effectively the edge of the Old Town. A little bit further up here, maybe one more street. What we're going to do is wind back and we're going to head towards the beautiful, in my mind, one of the most beautiful squares in the Old Town. Basically saving the best for last, but effectively the Old Town ends here. A couple more shops and then you loop back. It's a sort of, it's kind of a figure of eight, the map of the Old Town. And I hate to say it, but it's actually more beautiful during the night time, when in a bit of life, people are sort of going to restaurants, people are club hopping on a February daytime, it looks a bit grey and miserable, but I hope you can see the appeal. Even the Italians have got a stake here. But yeah, that is the end of the old town, and it's remarkable what they've built. But we're going to go head back here this way.
And over there we see the monastery complex of the Sisters of Sacrament. This serene and historically rich site is a hidden gem in Warsaw that many tourists simply don't even notice. This complex was established in the 17th century and it offers a beautiful, peaceful retreat away from the hustle and bustle. Its architecture is a blend of Baroque and neoclassical styles, once again reflecting the aesthetic transitions over the centuries. If you get a chance, do check out the gardens because they're really, really beautiful. Probably more beautiful in the summer.
Yeah, the beer addict to me, I can't resist. I can't walk past this amazing establishment and not have at least one beer. So I'm going to go in and taste a little bit of excellent beer. That's my plan. So let's go in. Even though the football's playing, let's go have a quick one. No, thank you. That's why I asked. Thank you. It's a beautiful bar. I have to say this is a fantastic Belgian pub. It doesn't have any Polish beer at all, which is a shame because some Polish beer is fantastic. But what I will show you later is the place to get real Polish crafty beer. It should not be missed. But this place, 5 stars, thumbs up, and this is 10% alcohol. Cheers. Well, I'm left rather satisfied. That was 10% alcohol beer from the wonderful Elephant Belgian Beer Pub. Recommend it. Now we're going to continue on our tour. As I always say, let's see what we see.
Zapraszamy do Zapiecka.
Thank you. Let me get this. How much is this?
Proszę wejść, powiedzą.
Okay. Where did we go for? Maybe we go in. So this is a top Polish restaurant. We're having pierogi, we're having sausages, we're having soup. The soup is amazing. We're having obviously a bit of Dismayed beer, which is obviously very the old-fashioned Polish beer. So when in Rome, drink Dismayed. Well, some amazing pierogi and some amazing Polish sausage. Now, as you notice, it's already dark. My plan was to show you the old town in all of, well, I was supposed to be showing you it in 20 minutes. I failed massively by going to the beer place and the pierogi place. But as you can see, it almost feels like it's Christmas here, and it is only February. Well, it is February. The Christmas lights should have been taken down. But what I like about it is they've thought, no, it gets too depressing here when the Christmas lights come down. We're just going to keep them up. And why not? Look at this. I'm going to twist the camera around.
You know, it's not deliberate, but it's often the way. When you set out on a walk around a city, you expect it to be done in a certain amount of time. Obviously, cities are there to be appreciated and their cities are there to be enjoyed. And this city is no exception to the rule in the fact that I took in the Belgian bar where the Belgian beer was on offer and then had some pierogi and Polish sausages. Obviously, it was going to get later and later, and this being the certain time of the year, it gets dark quickly. But what is fantastic about this, it allows you to see how beautiful these streets are as it gets darker. The streets are well lit, and with the wet cobblestones, I think it is rather pretty. It really is an exceptional city, and unlike certain Western cities where crime is rife, Warsaw is a very homogeneous city where crime is super low. To the degree where I've been seeing Instagram reels where people are showing bikes in Poland aren't even locked. Now that isn't an excuse for scumbags to come to Poland and then take advantage of the amazing Polish hospitality. It is just an example of what high trust societies can be. Now I've just slowed down the video to normal speed once again because everything you see from here is new. We are back crossing the city walls and we're back on Nowomiejska Street. You may notice that turning that we took there with the flower sellers, we came from there. But now we're going to go straight and we're going to head towards probably one of the best craft beer places in this part of Warsaw. And the wonderful thing about Warsaw, it is a haven for craft beer. Beer fans, you will be in for a treat should you book a ticket to Warsaw. But I love these little places. Have you ever ridden a penny farthing? You might remember my video where I rode a penny farthing. I got made into an honorary member of the penny farthing club, so I took a picture just for them.
You're wondering about the beer place I was recommending. This is it. This is fantastic, this place. We're going to go in and have fantastic craft beer because why not? We are here and it's dark already, so what are we missing out on? May as well go inside and sample the delights of this place.
This place is called Same Crafty Multi-Tap. It's a great place whether you're a beer connoisseur or just looking to enjoy a good drink in a relaxed atmosphere.
We've got pizza beer. Some good beer.
Same Crafty offers a very welcoming experience. I've never had a bad evening here, and I'm glad to be back because the last time I was here it was exceptional, and this time didn't disappoint also.
Well, that was a very tasty craft beer we had there. Craft beer from Poland, the hazy IPA from New England. Now we continue onwards on our journey to take in the new town, the old town, the new old town.
As we head along these streets, you'll notice the various souvenir shops, unique craft shops, places to basically take a piece of Warsaw back to your home. Many of these places don't just sell tourist tap, but they actually sell handmade items, and I think that's nice because it's not some dodgy bloke that you will probably see in London selling shisha pipes and tat. Here they tend to sell craft cultural heritage pieces that really represent Poland. This is the beautiful Rynek Starego Miasta. This is the heart of Warsaw's Old Town and one of the most iconic squares in the city. This vibrant marketplace dates back to the 13th century and has been the focal point of social and economic life for centuries. The square is surrounded by beautiful reconstructed townhouses, each adorned with colourful facades and intricate architectural details reflecting the Renaissance and the Baroque styles that has been rebuilt to make the Old Town what it is.
I remember coming here during Christmas time, well, a long time ago, actually probably 2 years ago. There was snow everywhere, there was people ice skating. I think there's still an ice skating ring over here. We'll go check it out. We'll go see. Yeah, there is an ice skating ring over here. Very beautiful. We can get glühwein, we can get Polish vodka, we can get Polish sausages here. Yeah, I'll tell you something, compared to last time I was here, it's actually really warm. So warm, in fact. I think the ice rink is actually melting.
In the centre of the square stands the Warsaw Mermaid. This is a symbol of the city with roots in both myth and legend. Now the mermaid holds a sword and a shield, and it embodies the spirit of Warsaw's resilience and defiance. During the Second World War, as I've stated many times before, much of the Old Town, if not pretty much all of the Old Town, including this square, was completely destroyed. However, the meticulous reconstruction efforts post the war, guided by historical documents and paintings, has restored this amazing square to its former glory, and in turn it has earned a well-deserved place on the UNESCO World Heritage list. Now, cities and towns across the United Kingdom were bombed and partially destroyed by the Luftwaffe. But not once did my corrupt government think, things did look better back then. They thought, no, we're going to embrace degenerates at the modern school of architecture and think, let's install some brutalist buildings, and that's going to make everyone feel just so much better about themselves. I'm in dismay at what my government has consistently done to my country for decades upon decades. The fact that councils across the United Kingdom have free reign to knock down old buildings, free reign to basically inspire the population with brutalist and communist architecture, disregarding those that came before us. I think it's a sorry state of affairs, but when I come to Poland and also go to cities in Germany, I get to experience how life could be, and how when you look to the past as something that should be emulated and something that should be preserved, you can do all of the above, even when you're standing in rubble in the late 1940s thinking, where did it all go wrong? But those men and women that took the initiative to basically build Warsaw back to its former glory, but even make it more romantic and more amazing, they have not only served the people of the future, but they have served themselves in that fact that they will always be remembered and they will always be thanked. No one is going to remember the red flag waving communists who decided to make Birmingham, England, what it is today. But this is a video about Warsaw's Old Town, not a video about the blasphemy that is going on in the UK right now. We are still on Świętojańska Street. As you're probably seeing from these images, it really is a beautiful blend of townhouses that showcase a blend of Gothic and Renaissance styles. As we stroll along this vibrant street, we set the stage for our approach to one of the city's most important religious and historical landmarks. This is the Archcathedral Basilica of St. John the Baptist, a monumental symbol of Warsaw's enduring faith and history. Established in the 14th century, this cathedral is one of Warsaw's oldest and most significant religious edifices. The Gothic facade, characterized by its robust brick construction and soaring vertical lines, is a striking feature. The cathedral's historical importance is underscored by its role as a site of royal coronations, parliamentary assemblies, and national ceremonies. Inside the Archcathedral Basilica, we are greeted by the awe-inspiring interior that reflects centuries of architectural evolution and artistic dedication. The high vaulted ceilings, characteristics of Gothic architecture, create a sense of grandeur and reverence. If you were to come here during the day, sunlight would filter through the intricate stained glass windows that would cast a vibrant hues across the nave and contributing to a spiritual ambience. But as we are here at night time, we feel very different while inside, but still beautiful nonetheless. The Baroque high altar is a focal point of the interior, showcasing 17th century craftsmanship in its elaborate gilded details and religious iconography. Surrounding the main altar are numerous side chapels, each dedicated to different saints and adorned with beautiful paintings and sculptures. The Chapel of Immaculate Conception, for instance, houses the Black Madonna, a symbol of spiritual solace for the faithful. Each chapel is a unique artistic and spiritual gem, contributing to the cathedral's rich tapestry of the faith and history. One of the notable chapels is the Chapel of St. Stanislaus Kostka. This chapel is dedicated to the young Jesuit saint who is one of Poland's patron saints. The chapel features a beautiful altarpiece depicting Saint Stanislaus, evoking his dedication to faith and education. The intricate woodwork and serene ambience makes it a place of quiet contemplation. Another significant chapel is the Chapel of the Crucifixion. This chapel houses a striking depiction of the crucifixion of Christ, which is both a powerful piece of religious art and a focal point of devotion. The atmosphere here is deeply reflective, inviting visitors to pause and meditate on the Passion of Christ. Additionally, the Chapel of St. John the Evangelist is adorned with stunning frescoes and a beautifully crafted altar. It celebrates the life and writings of St. John, providing a spiritual retreat for those seeking inspiration from his teachings. One particularly significant chapel is dedicated to Pope John Paul II. This chapel, honoring one of Poland's most revered figures, contains a portrait to the Pope along with relics and artifacts from his life and papacy. It serves as a place for pilgrims to pay their respects and reflect on his contributions to the Catholic Church and Polish history. and in my mind, the last of the great popes, and also my grandmother's favourite pope. Each mini chapel within the cathedral not only enhances the spiritual experience, but also showcases the rich artistic heritage of Warsaw, offering visitors a profound connection to the historical and religious journey of the city. The Archcathedral Basilica of St. John the Baptist is not only a place of worship, but also a silent witness to the tumultuous history of Warsaw. It obviously suffered extensive damage during the Swedish deluge in the 17th century and was almost completely destroyed during the Warsaw Uprising in 1944. The painstaking post-war reconstruction aimed to restore the cathedral to its former Gothic glory, guided by historical records, paintings and photographs. The meticulous efforts earned this cathedral a place, just like the Old Town, in the UNESCO World Heritage list, recognizing its cultural and historical significance. Beneath the cathedral, if we were to go down, lies the crypts housing the tombs of many notable Polish figures, including the last king of Poland, Stanislaw August Poniatowski. These cribs add a profound historical depth to the cathedral, linking it to a broader narrative of Poland's great past. The Archcathedral continues to play a central role in Warsaw's religious and cultural life, hosting major national ceremonies, daily masses, and various cultural events. Its enduring presence shows the resilience and the faith of the Warsaw Polish community.
It's like Disneyland in Warsaw. Not Mickey Mouse, but we get Mr. Pierogi Man. I'm excited. Pierogies taste good. Hey, Mr. Pierogi Man.
You'll notice there the lady with the Ukrainian flag walking past, and this is something you'll see much of when you're in Poland. So many Ukrainians came to Poland since 2022, and even before that, between 2014 and 2022, there was huge waves of Ukrainian migration into Poland, mostly to work, and then obviously those coming post the war from 2022 onwards, they kept coming when the Russians selfishly attacked Ukraine again and again, obviously displacing communities and families in Poland. The closest people to their culture that's at least friendly to them were the Poles, and the Poles have been nothing but gentlemen and ladies when it comes to welcoming the Ukrainians. Obviously, there's only so much a country can do, and they've even got to the stage now where Poles are starting to get a little bit agitated by the numbers of Ukrainians, but thank God for their hospitality, because it's allowed so many good Ukrainians to find an alternative home. My guess is when the war finishes, many Ukrainians will go back, knowing a lot of Ukrainians are scattered around Europe and the world in that fact. Many of them would like to return as soon as the war has ended. Will that ever happen? I hope so. I'm sure it will happen. We just got to keep hoping.
Well, as we walk past the pizza protesters, I like the fact that we can see them everywhere in the world. It means people care. We now find ourselves where we began, almost where we began our tour, on the main square in this windy area. I hope you can hear me. You probably can't. It's probably too windy. So we're going to just continue a little bit further, across the bridge to the end of the Old Town. And as you see, you might need to leave a little bit more time for visiting the Old Town, unless of course you're like me and you like stopping off at these beer places, pierogi places. Why not?
Remember, if you're interested in keeping up to date on my current whereabouts, I tend to post stories in my Instagram profile. Those stories show you where in the world I am that day. Sometimes they give you travel insight, various different things. Also, if you're thinking of visiting Poland or Warsaw or any Polish destination, I have an entire page on my website devoted to Poland, covering destinations like Gdańsk, Wrocław, you name it, it's there. And if you're looking for tour recommendations or travel tips, head to my website, join the mailing list, and you'll be kept up to date with travel insight from myself. I think these girls are Instagrammers or TikTokers, or potentially, who knows, they're just girls trying to enjoy themselves.
Just over there in the distance is the National Stadium of Poland. The Poles love the game of football, and that's just there is the stadium of Warsaw. Beautiful stadium, actually.
As we walk through Castle Square, I think anyone in the West or elsewhere in the world will notice just how calm and relaxed this place is, despite it being nighttime. Families are out, couples are out, people walking alone, people walking in groups are out, and it just feels really, really safe. And this is a stark contrast to what this square has witnessed in the past. Obviously, the atrocities of the past that came through Warsaw. But it has to be also said that around where all these Christmas lights in February are to be found, sometimes you'll find royal parades, political demonstrations. It really is a kind of center point, center square for the people of Warsaw. It's a place that people come together, and generally very, very peaceful atmosphere and very, very safe atmosphere. As we continue walking this way, we get to the Royal Route. This is a prestigious street lined with historic buildings, churches and monuments. We will eventually get to the Presidential Palace, but along the way, let's just take in some of the sights and just sort of reflect on just how marvelous this city is.
Well, it's butter, just animal crap.
I love this little market. It has a little bit of everything from old books to paintings to jewelry to gifts that you could give to friends and families. It even has books by some of your favorite authors, but in Polish. So if you're looking to learn Polish and pick up some old books, this is the place to come. Looking for souvenirs, this is probably a pretty good place to come also. I noticed the prices were fair. I noticed it wasn't rip-off central, so it wasn't a tourist trap. Even the locals were generally in here looking at things, trying to buy scarves, looking at hats. Yeah, it was a pleasant area and a nice way to spend a little bit of time browsing, although I'm sure many of you would spend a little bit longer in here than I potentially would.
Well, as we exit the old town, effectively as we get to these main area out here, as we proceed past these beautiful Christmas lights that in February can still be shown, and I like that, to be honest. One of the worst things about living in the Northern Hemisphere in the winter is once you get past the 7th, the 8th of January, it all becomes a bit bleak and a bit dark until you get to around sort of March, April time. But in Poland they say, excuse my French, but they say F that, and they say we're going to keep the Christmas decorations up until it becomes quite warm again. And you know what? I don't blame them. Beautiful lights should be all year round, and it works for me. But this has been the tour of the old town. I appreciate I haven't been taking in all of these beautiful buildings, but hopefully you will when you come to visit the old town, when you come to visit Warsaw. And if you like this content and you like my little tours showing these random little places, although Warsaw is not a random little place, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button, you'll click that like button. You might even share it with that friend of yours that's visiting Warsaw very soon, or you're trying to convince them to come along to you in Warsaw very soon. But until next time, you could watch one of these videos. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.